Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're all doing well. Erik ten Hag talks transfers. He doesn't talk press conferences, he didn't want one. We are playing Crystal Palace tomorrow. Erik ten Hag didn't want a press conference. It upset quite a lot of journalists out there. They've travelled to the other side of the world and they've had quite a few days off with no access to Manchester United really. But Ten Hag is somewhat put out, I think the word is, by the obsession with Manchester United. He needs to get used to it, Erik. It's Manchester United. We are one of the biggest clubs in the world and it's part of the thing. But he kicked back. He didn't want a press conference, but he has done an interview and he has spoken about transfers. He's spoken about Lisandro Martinez. He's spoken about Eriksen. He's hinted at what he wants in the future. But I suppose one of the big things to start off, and we will talk about right backs, Mukiele and Hakimi have been linked to Manchester United. There's also updates from Sky Sports about Frankie de Jong to bring in as well. But I think the biggest thing we're going to start off with is this. I'll put it up on the screen. It's coming in from Manu Sainz, who is somebody who is always said to be well briefed in relation to Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, he's spoken over the last few weeks about Ronaldo's insistence to go. He's mentioned Chelsea. He's mentioned Bayern Munich. This is probably the first time he's mentioned something that we would like to believe. Because I don't want to believe he wants to go to Chelsea. I don't want to believe he wants to leave. But this is the first time Manu Sainz has said something that's actually something that we would like. And it's from Ten Hag. Manchester United are not bluffing with their stance on Cristiano Ronaldo. Despite Cristiano wanting to leave, United leaders and Erik ten Hag are totally reluctant to let him leave the club. Now, I'm up for a bit of this. Because I was actually in discussion with somebody a few minutes ago about this. And if we lose Ronaldo, we lose Ronaldo. We lose Player of the Year. We lose one of the best strikers in the world still. I'd argue that. But we also lose out financially because Ronaldo will go for about £15 million. Nothing more than 15 million. If you want Danny Ings or Jamie Vardy or Antony or Jonathan David or anybody else you've got in mind, you're going to be paying at least 40 million. Now, people talk about the wages we'll save on Ronaldo, but United have never worked like that. United do not want to and never do include saved wages in their transfer budget. If that was the case, our net spend would be about, if our budget's 120 million and we're taking the wages saved off, our actual spend would be about 80 million because we're saving 40 million from, as I say, Pogba, Cavani and the rest of them. So wages, it wouldn't matter. United would look at what they're getting for Ronaldo and then they'd be like, well, you've got 15 million to spend on a replacement. Well, I need 40. Well, you can take that off your budget then. So it's not good for United to lose Ronaldo in a playing sense, but it's not good financially because Ronaldo is a false economy. He is valuable to this team, but he is not valuable to sell because, you know, Ronaldo is probably worth 60 million to United next season because he's a striker that you can guarantee will get you 20 goals. You could spend 60 million and not get a striker who can do that. But the sad thing is, if we sell Ronaldo, we only get 15. So it's going to cost us money to replace Ronaldo effectively. So I like the fact that Ten Hag is saying, no, let's not sell him. And I like the fact that United are backing up on that. But it's still going to run and run because if they can't change Ronaldo's mind, it will obviously create issues. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. We'll have to wait and see what happens with it. But I think it's a bit encouraging and I hope other people take it as that as well. Because we can't just bend over and let this happen. I mean, Manu Sainz did mention Chelsea and that there had been negotiations with Chelsea between, you know, Ronaldo and a potential package to go to Chelsea, but United just wouldn't entertain it. So to me, that's a positive. We'll have to watch that one. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I think United have got to dig their heels in here. The question is, how do you persuade Ronaldo to want to stay? And I know people will say, well, we won't let him go and all that crap. But you're a hypocrite, really, because you're sat here most times, like I am, saying that this transfer window is not good enough and the ambition's not there. If you are somebody like Malacia or Eriksen, you've got 3 years at this club. Ronaldo's really got one. He wants ambition this year. You can't blame him for that. This could be his last year. He wants ambition this year, not in 3 years when he's not going to be here. So you can see both sides, I suppose. So we'll see what happens with that. And just before I talk about what Ten Hag has said about transfers, let's just take this. This is coming in from Sky Sports. It's coming in from noises coming from Spain are suggesting De Jong doesn't want to go to Manchester United. He's happy at Barcelona. The information we're getting, however, is that while he's happy at Barcelona, he's open to coming to work under Erik ten Hag. But it also goes on to say as well, I mean, that's slow sports news. Slow sports news, get your yellow tie on and your crunchy nut cornflakes. Because that is slow sports news, that is. I mean, we already know that. But they did go on to say as well that United won't overpay. I think we will overpay. And the context of this is that in the same section on Sky Sports, they went on to say that Barcelona might be playing the long game on this because they want United to pay the deferred wages that Frankie de Jong is owed. But Manchester United, and this is from Sky Sports, Manchester United have made it very clear that they won't overpay this summer. Well, that to me just sounds like United briefing Sky, because United have tried this a few times this summer. We won't overpay. We won't overpay. We talked about it this morning. We're not going to overpay on Antony. We're not going to overpay, right? You've just overpaid on Lisandro Martinez. So this whole you're not going to overpay thing is nonsense. You've just increased your offer to Barcelona last week. Like, the upfront fee has gone up by 10 million. You've paid 10 million too much for Lisandro Martinez. You will overpay. So how do I think this will get resolved with Frankie de Jong? One of two ways. We'll overpay or he'll stay. Make a rap out of it. You will overpay or stay, bro. No, I think that he will. I think we will overpay. And I think that Barcelona expect us to overpay. Now, one thing I would say, as I remove a bit of spit off my lip, one thing I would say is that watch out for Koundé, Jules Koundé. If Chelsea are pushing for Koundé like I think they are, that might force Barcelona to make a quicker move than they want to. I'm not going to get into the financials of Barcelona, but maybe that might, start making them think we need to sell Frankie de Jong quick. Martinez hasn't even played a game for United, and yet he's already been slated just because he's 5'9". Media bias against United again, says Lars. I want to talk about that because I want to talk about what Ten Hag has said about transfers. But can I just say this? If anybody's got a mic, get ready to drop it, okay? So, absolutely. I was on TalkSport last night. I was talking about this. We've spoken about it a few times on the United Stand. There is an absolute obsession from rival fans. They're even doing graphs, right? It's like the evolution of man from a fish. Like, they've got these graphs going up like that. I think it was on Sky Sports again. So they've got Bilbo Baggins, the Hobbit. No, they haven't put him in it. But they've put... They start off with Lisandro Martinez, 5'9". Then they've got Aki, 5'10". And then I think it goes to Van Dijk, who's like 6'2". And then that centre back for Brighton. And it's like, men, we all know about this. It's not how big it is, it's what you do with it. But in relation to height, I've never heard such nonsense in all my life. It's just ridiculous. Like, if you're going to have a pop at somebody's height, then at least look at how they perform. And the manager that we have. You know what it exposes? It's the Pochettino crew. It's the people who wanted Poch because they knew sod all about Ten Hag. They don't know anything about him. Ten Hag's number one centre-back pairing last year, which he wanted to play in the big games if they weren't injured or out of form, was Timber and Lisandro Martinez. Neither of them were over 5'10". Our manager doesn't massively care about height in his centre-backs because it's a low priority compared to positional sense, speed and ability to play out from the back. So why would you be surprised if he goes and buys a 5'9" centre-back? He's not playing Timber and Lisandro Martinez at United. He's still going to have a 6'3" centre-back next to him, whether it's Maguire or Varane. So I really don't get it. But get ready for the mic drop here. The millennium. This millennium is 22 years old, isn't it? It started in the year 2000. Right, get ready for this. Only one centre-back has won the Ballon d'Or in the last 22 years. His name is Fabio Cannavaro. His height is 5'9". Boom! Mic drop. Oh, don't compare him to Cannavaro. Don't compare him to Cannavaro. But we're talking about height. If you want to bring other things in, like his passing ability, his aggression, his speed, fine. But this is about his height. So I can compare him to Cannavaro because Cannavaro was 5'9" and he won the Ballon d'Or. And you can talk about Van Dijk and you can talk about Rio Ferdinand and you can talk about John Terry, but they never won the bloody Ballon d'Or, did they? Cannavaro did, 5'9". Boom, get me another mic. Anyway, let's move. Graham Hunter on TalkSport seemed to suggest that Barcelona have offered to pay De Jong's wages in instalments, but he wants it all in one. Seems it's just a case of agreement payment structure, maybe, says Aram. Yeah, look, and I hope it can get resolved quicker. Rage Queen, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. So, Erik Ten Hag has been talking about transfers. I want to talk about that. Of course I do. But I also want to say, very quickly, just a bit of topical transfer news. Few stories coming out this morning about right-backs. Mukhail has come out again. Not personally, but it has come out again from Mukhail, who is the RB Leipzig right-back, who is available for free next summer. So he's got 1 year left on his contract. Apparently Manchester United are going to go in for a second bid. No, we're not. We're not going to go in for a second bid. We're not looking at Mikhail. Mikhail was a suggestion from Ralf Rangnick. It is not a player that Erik ten Hag is currently looking at. The second player that we've been apparently linked to is Hakimi of PSG. Apparently Ten Hag's a big admirer of his, but it will be very expensive. We are not signing Hakimi either because he is too expensive and we've never really been looking at him at all this summer. The right back that we want is Denzel Dumfries from Inter Milan, who is also probably going to be quite expensive. So I think what's happening is that a story came out yesterday that United are looking for a right back, and every agent and club in Europe has gone, quick, link the right back that we can't sell to Manchester United and it might generate interest. Certainly in the case of Mukiele. I don't know why I call him Mikhail. It's Mukiele. Mukiele of Leipzig. Nobody's interested in him. Leipzig want to sell him. They are using our name to get him. So yeah, we're not in for Mukiele and we're not in for Hakimi. We want Denzel Dumfries, as I've said all summer, and we need to sell Wan-Bissaka to get that. There we go. How tall am I? I'm 6 foot, so I'm 3 inches bigger than Lisandro Martinez, and he beat me in every single header because he's a professional footballer. Like, I'm not worried about his height. I'm really not. I can't believe I'm really disappointed that I got Mukiele wrong, because I'd learnt Mukiele back 2 months ago when we got linked to him with Rangnick, and I've completely messed it up. So apologies, it's Mukiele. It is Mukiele. Anyway, so let's go back to what Erik ten Hag has been saying about transfers, and let's delve into that one because that's what we're here for. So a few things that he said. In fact, I'll go to the full screen for this one because some big quotes that he's come out with that I think you might quite like. So no press conference. These have just been linked from Manchester United, but they are from an interview with him. He wouldn't do a press conference. So he said that in relation to the signings of Eriksen and Martinez, it's really unfortunate that we can't have them on the tour because at the moment they arrive here, we will fly back. So that doesn't make sense. We cannot wait to involve them in our squad, and the fans also cannot wait. I think there is a disappointment there, and he's probably, just trying to make the best of a bad situation. The reality is he's been on loan. He spoke about being on loan. Sorry, he's not been on loan. Ten Hag spoke about how he's enjoyed the tour. It's been very intense. They've worked really hard. He says we've not really seen the culture, not seen the culture or the structure of Melbourne, but they've been working hard. They've been training hard. That's what he's there. He says he's got to know the squad, but I think this is a negative as well, because the positive is he's got to know about all these players, but it's the squad from last year with Malacia in it. It's not, and no Ronaldo. So it's all right working with these players, but these players aren't going to be good enough to make us where we need to go. He needs his own players in, and I think that's very obvious. He did speak about Lisandro Martinez, though, and he said that it's an absolute advantage that we have Eriksen in. Sorry, this is about Eriksen. It's an absolute advantage that we've got Eriksen. I think he's a magnificent footballer, and I think the fans will enjoy watching him because he creates and he has ideas. So very, very interesting what he said there as well. But just going back to what I wanted to talk about, which was what he said about Lisandro Martinez, and this is specifically to do with why buy Lisandro Martinez instead of Pau Torres. Pau Torres is arguably got the better CV than Lisandro Martinez in La Liga. He's won the Europa League. He plays for Spain. Taller. Why probably cheaper. That is very true. We would have got Pau Torres for £10 million cheaper than Lisandro Martinez. His release clause was around £45 million. We've just spent 55 on Lisandro Martinez. Of course, one of the big advantages of this is that Erik ten Hag knows Lisandro Martinez, and he was speaking about that as well. He says, I think it's important, because he was asked about having a player that he knows about. And he says, I think it's important, I think the Premier League is high intensity, lots of challenges. We need such players with fighting spirit, Lisandro Martinez, and certain ideas, he knows them, and that is an advantage, clearly. So Erik ten Hag talking there quite clearly about how it is important that this is a player that he knows, that will know his system. And I think that's a big hint as well for those who think we might play a back five or any other permutation or put him in as a CDM or anything like that. It's very obvious to me that the signing of Lisandro Martinez is fundamentally about bringing in a player, because I think it really was a choice between Pau Torres and Lisandro Martinez. the club have made that very clear as well. If you look at I think it was James Ducker or it might have been Rob Dawson, one of the two I think said in an article yesterday that the club had pushed Pau Torres as an option, but Ten Hag had said he wanted Lisandro Martinez and the club backed him. Now that works really well on United's point for two reasons. One, it shows they're backing their manager, and two, it shows that if Lisandro Martinez doesn't work out, they suggested somebody else. So it works for United both ways. But I also feel that it does really show that Ten Hag is going to play a back four and he is going to play Lisandro Martinez at centre back, because mentioning the things that we know, Lisandro Martinez knows Erik Ten Hag's system. Now he could play him in the midfield. I'm sure Lisandro Martinez knows the system to play in midfield for Erik Ten Hag. But I think he's going to play left-sided centre-back. But regardless of where he plays, we're clearly going to play a very similar setup formation to what Ajax played, because if we're not going to do that and we're going to play a back five, well, Lisandro Martinez, I don't think has ever played a back five for Erik Ten Hag. So I don't think we're going to see this three centre-back theory. It will be a four, and he'll be playing left-sided centre-back, I think. Possibly in the midfield, but I think it will be centre-back, to be fair. He also went on to speak about Lisandro Martinez. He said that he brings aggressiveness in the game in a good way. I think we need that. But also he's skillful and he can deal with the ball and he's left-footed. I don't know whether you've seen clips of Lisandro Martinez. There's plenty of them out there, but he is really cultured on the ball. I mean, this is exactly why people are saying let's play him in the midfield. He's better than Fred and McTominay. If we played him in the midfield, he's better than those two. He's way better on the ball. His passing ability is fantastic. I think what I specifically like about Lisandro Martinez and his passing is that when you think of a centre-back, you think of on the edge of your box. Lisandro Martinez, a lot of his good passing is when he's on the halfway line and he moves forward 10 metres to pick up the ball in that position, in a more advanced position. And this is why he'd be very good in the midfield. So Lisandro Martinez, and also he's really good on the ball as well. He's quite skillful. He's got very close control. He can dribble. He's not a centre-back. I mean, most centre-backs crap themselves when they get closed down and they'll just boot it out. He's not fearful of being put under pressure. So, no, I agree with him on that. And then I think everyone will like this. He said, Lisandro Martinez is a warrior, and I think the fans will admire him. He has an attitude and a fighting spirit. You can never predict how a player's going to do it, and it's very dangerous to predict how a player's going to do it because we've never seen him play in a Manchester United shirt. But I do think, look, the fans, we liked Rojo. I mean, I thought Rojo was quite limited, but we loved his mentality. Herrera as well. I think that as long as Lisandro Martinez adapts to the Premier League, he's going to be a fan favourite very, very quickly because he's a professional footballer. And I just think that in the modern game, you have different types of footballers. You have professional footballers who are basically there to play football. You're not going to catch them out in a nightclub. You're not going to catch them out on the piss. They're not going to be, messing around doing brand deals and stuff like that. They're professional footballers. And then you've got the other footballers who are going to do brand deals, who might get caught out in a nightclub. And I think that Lisandro Martinez is going to be in the Juan Mata camp, where he's a professional footballer. But on top of that, that professionalism, determination, fight, desire. We've had Paul Ince on the show before. You know about people like Roy Keane, Wayne Rooney. Like that fight and desire and hunger is something that's really missing in a United shirt with talent. There are some people that will fight and they've got no talent. So I'm really excited about Lisandro Martinez. I don't want to put any more pressure on that because you just don't know, but I think Erik Ten Hag is right. Why did we not step back from De Jong and sign Antony and Timber and Eriksen, says Tom. I think we go back in for De Jong. I feel that this was because of what the manager wanted, but I think the club should have overruled him and got these players no matter what, says Tom. How many likes on this video for you to do the Ice Bucket Challenge, Mark, says Joshua about. Do people do Ice Bucket Challenges anymore? I suppose it's because it's hot. I wouldn't waste the ice. Imagine that. We've got a big bag of ice, actually. I tip it over me, it goes all down my body, and then people are having it in their lilts. No, I don't think that's a good idea. Just a few comments as well about Christian Eriksen. He said, I think especially on our strikers, we'll be happy because he's the one who can involve them in the game. He also says he's an experienced player. He plays in countries abroad, in Italy, in Holland, a long time in England, so he knows the Premier League. So I think that I think, in essence, Erik Ten Hag is very, very happy with the business that's been done. And he's very, very motivated. I mean, a lot of the things that are coming out of Australia from the journalists is that The players that they're talking to are just absolutely focused, because you have to be. Whether they're happy or not, I think they are happy, but it's very different for them. It's very, very, very intense. And intense can be a good thing, but it can be a bad thing. Remember, remember, these players were moaning about having to train twice a day under Ranić. They were moaning about driving out in the dark at Carrington at 5 o'clock. So I don't know what's happened over the summer. Maybe some of them have just realised that they've become too comfortable. They were basically in control of the dressing room last year. They were arguing with each other. They wanted an easy life. They didn't want to work hard. They've now got a manager that's working them harder than Ranić ever did. And they're suddenly all putting a smile on their face. To me, I find that really interesting, because it's a win for us and it's a loss for them. Last season, they couldn't be arsed. I'm not driving home in the dark. I don't want to do training twice a day. Ten Hag's had them in an hour earlier and he's training them twice a day. So they've lost. They've lost the battle, because last year they were arguing, toxic. I don't want to do extra training. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Now they're all coming out going, oh, it's great. We're training so hard. It's so intense. Well, are they faking, or are they actually, they've lost the battle and accepted that they've got to work hard now? Hopefully it's the latter. But look, we're going to have to judge it game by game. We start the season badly. A few of those players get dropped, and I suspect those leaks will start up again, especially if they sense a weakness in Ten Hag. And I don't want to dwell on that either, but anybody who thinks that this new dawn is going to be successful and it's going to be, a bed of roses is wrong. Those roses have got thorns, and those thorns can spike you. The reality is that when Mourinho came in, I remember that summer. Most of you should remember that summer. When Mourinho came in, we're going to win the league. He wins the league in his first 2 years everywhere he goes. We've got Pogba, we've got Zlatan. Oh, yeah, this is what it's all about. How long did it take for people to become toxic? Same with Solskjaer. Ollie's at the wheel before it got a puncture. So every new manager we've had, really, apart from Moyes for me, has been, oh, this is going to be great. Time, every Christmas day when you get the present you want, you think it's the best thing ever. By the middle of March, you're bored of it. And in 3 or 4 months, these players might feel like this about this manager. So anything can go wrong. Everything can go right. And I think we've just got to judge it on a week-by-week basis. And at the moment, there's a lot of positivity coming out of the club, and everybody's working hard, apart from the transfer system, which is working crap, to be fair. But look, we'll have to just wait and see what happens. There will be bumps in the road. I think what Ten Hag has got to do, before I move on to the next bit, what Ten Hag has got to do is stay strong. If he shows any weakness, that dressing room will... It's like water. If you've ever had a leak, water will find its way to leak if it's not tight. He's got to keep that dressing room sealed. He's got to keep his emotions sealed. He's got to show no weakness, because if he does, that water will start leaking out of the dressing room into the media, and once that starts, it's very hard to stop it. Hi Mark, could pulling out of the Antony deal be part of a strategy to get him to force the move and drive his price down, says Liam. Look, on Antony, I think there's a really good debate going on in the fan base at the moment in relation to Antony. Obviously, we've had Ten Hag talking about signings in relation to Lisandro Martinez and Eriksen. He's happy about those. He doesn't want to sell Ronaldo, as we said at the start of the show. He's very firm on that. But our transfer window is not finished, because we're still after De Jong. If that happens, you've got him. But I think even after that, we're not done. Antony is a player that Erik Ten Hag really, really wants. And that's been very, very, very obvious from the middle of May. And Antony wants to come to Manchester United. We spoke about this on the morning show. I'd say 50-50 at the moment. There could be a clever brief from United to say that they're pulling out of the deal, and maybe Antony will push the deal. But on the other hand, he's 22. There's a World Cup in... It's a bit like what happened with Timber. A season's a very long time, but this season's a very short time, because you play your first 3 months of the season, you go to the World Cup, you come back from the World Cup, it's January, and then it's only 3 or 4 months until the end of the season, and then you move in anyway. So some players might be willing. Declan Rice at West Ham is another example. It's disappointing when you don't get the move that you want, because it's a long season. But when there's a World Cup in the middle of it, and you're going to play in that World Cup, it really shortens down the window. So maybe Antony will go, I will wait a year, somebody will want me. But on the other hand, he might push it. Ash says, Mark, do you think Ten Hag feels the pressure will be on from the start, which is why he's going for players that he knows his style, says Ash. Well, the pressure's going to be on there. I mean, I found it quite interesting that I was reading something today that Ten Hag I don't know whether he doesn't like it or he can't get used to the fact that there's such a thirst for United news, and that's why there's not been a press conference today, and there should have been, and all the journalists over there are not happy about it. They're like, there should be a press conference. We're on the other side of the world. It's a pre-season game. We're all here, and there should be a press conference. But Ten Hag didn't want to do it. It's Manchester United. He's got to get used to that. He has. Can't forget about January transfer window, says Charlie. And I don't know what this January transfer window is going to be. Miroslav, welcome to the Members Club. Apologies about the fancy football video. That is coming out. I am going to do it. So it will be out at some point today. I had to go and sort my car out, which has been hot work in this weather. But I will get it done today. So yeah, I think with the way that things are, Ten Hag does need to adjust to United, and he knows the pressure's on, and I think that's why he has gone for players that he knows, not because he can trust them, I think that's part of it, but also because he knows he's got to get this team playing the way he wants to play. He can't come into this club and play Ollie ball. He's got to play Ten Hag ball, and to do that, it's always going to be better if he's got players that can come in and teach them. So Eriksen's important, De Jong will be important, Lisandro Martinez would be important, Antony would be important. What I would say about Antony, though, and I haven't said this for a few weeks, is Ajax made this mistake with David Neres. He was riding high. There was a good fee to get. They didn't take it. They waited a year, and that fee wasn't there anymore. I think Antony is at the peak, potentially, for Ajax. And I don't know whether they care about this, but maybe they should. You could get 60 million for Antony now. They don't want that. They want 70 million. But they could get 60 million now. Can they get 60 million in a year's time when he's run another year of his contract down? And also, are Ajax going to replicate what they did under Ten Hag, i.e. be in a Champions League group stage where they're smacking up people like Dortmund? Or are they going to go in a group stage and not be as good? Being good in the Eredivisie is not why these Ajax players are premium. It's not why Bayern Munich wanted Gravenberg. It's not why they took their right back. It's not why people are after Lisandro Martinez. The reason people want Ajax players is because they saw what they did in the group stage last year. They saw a very good team. It was a surprise that Benfica knocked Ajax out. It was a shock. If Ajax are not that good next season, then is Antony's value going to drop? Yes. I think it's going to be very hard for Antony to be worth 70 million next summer. So maybe Ajax need to be wary of that, because the David Neres thing has happened before, and all right, they might say, well, we'll be happy to take 50 million for Antony in a year's time, but maybe nobody will give you 50 million. Maybe his season won't be as good. So maybe now is the time. I'm 50-50 on Antony. It could be all part of a ploy, but then again, I don't know. United, if they say they don't want to pay the money, sometimes they do walk away. In fact, a lot of the times they do. Let's have a look here. We've got a few super chats coming in. Member from Miroslav. Mark, any word on reports United linked with a swap for Benaka and Donny? No, I've not heard anything about that, to be fair. We know the players that we have this season, so as fans, the least we can do is back the manager instead of blaming players such as Ronaldo, or even blame the manager for the players that he wants, says George. Just goes to show that the guy in the pub was right to record Arnold. They're just all liars. Ten Hag hasn't got the funds there for what he wants, says Sean Turner. Hey, you know what, Sean? Talking about that, one of the big takeaways from that pub chat that Richard Arnold had is that the money's there for the players that Erik Ten Hag wants. Well, you know what? I'm surprised no media outlets picked up on that, because Erik Ten Hag wants Antony. So where's the money? These are the things you need to remember as a fan, because it's not about calling the club out. It's about calling them out for what they said. Richard Arnold sat there and said, the money's there for the players that the manager wants. Well, he wants Antony, so why are you not getting him? Oh, it's too expensive now. Well, the money's not there then, is it? Rutch, welcome to the Members Club. Ten Hag going for only players he has coached is laughable, says JB. Never seen a manager this much obsessed on this. It's very worrying. I'm not completely dismissive of your point, and I'll tell you why. I think it is a risk to keep going for players from the Eredivisie or players that you know. But I have explained why, and there is a reason for this. There is a logic. If you're Eric Ten Hag and you take that job in the middle of May and you know you've got a massive summer and season ahead of you, and the club say, right, your centre-back we've scouted is Pau Torres, we really like Calvin Phillips as your midfielder, and you just go, hold on a minute, I don't want these players. Like, I don't know these players. I don't want these players. They're not what I want. Have you got anybody else? No, that's what we've gone for. Well, okay, it's the middle of May. I can't send scouts out now, so I can't go through this list and say, yeah, they'd be good. I haven't got time. So the best thing I can do is go and get me players that I know, because I can't take your suggestions. And to be fair, over the last 9 years, your suggestions haven't worked out that well. So I would rather go with what I know than go with what you know. And then next summer, we'll have a year of proper scouting where we are picking up players that I haven't coached before. But for now, Timber, Antony, Frankie de Jong, Malacia, these are all players that I know. Denzel Dumfries, go and get me those. And so I completely agree with people who say he's just buying a lot of Eredivisie or Dutch players. But I think he had two choices. He either went with United's choices, people like Torres and Calvin Phillips, who actually went to Man City anyway, but we did scout him quite extensively. Or he goes for players that he knows. Neither is ideal, but I think actually I'd always lean towards what we're doing because that's what the manager wants. In the past, United have said no to the manager and done what they wanted. Jose Mourinho wanted to sell Martial. Club said no. Jose Mourinho wanted Perisic. Club said no. Van Gaal thought he was getting Muller. Club messed it up. So we've got a very big track record of overruling the manager. So at least this time we are backing the manager. But I think in an ideal world, Eric Ten Hag would have had 6 months of scout reports to look at before the middle of May and go, okay, maybe I don't go for Malacia. Maybe I go for this Bundesliga left back that looks really good that nobody's gone for yet. But he hasn't got those scout reports. Rehike, can I remind everyone about Cordoba, who played for Inter Milan? It says red since 1975. There was a lad at Inter Milan as well. Was it Zanetti? Zanetti at Inter Milan. Now let's just check his height as well, because he was Argentinian. Javier Zanetti. He's 48 now. Played left back at Inter Milan. 5'10", and I'm pretty sure he used to play centre back a little bit as well. Pretty sure he did. But even if he didn't, he was pretty decent in the air. And look, as I say, Cannavaro, Puyol, it's not something I would worry about. And it's not something that I think the best thing about the height of Lisandro Martinez is that when he turns up for training next week, Ten Hag's not going to go, you look bigger in your picture. Bloody hell, Richard, John, you bought me a bloody 5'9" centre-back, you prats. What am I going to do with a 5'9" centre-back? Harry comes along, I can carry him as long as you pick me. No, Ten Hag knows all about Ten Hag knows all about this player. Like, it's almost like yesterday and today, you're seeing all these rival fans going on about the height of Lisandro Martinez. And you know why they're doing it? Because they didn't realise. They've gone and done the Wikipedia search and gone 5'9", like they've bought him. Ten Hag's just spent the last few years with him. He knows his bloody height and he still wants him. So it's trusting your manager time, people. That's what it is. It's trusting your manager time. Simple as that. And, as I say, Fabio Cannavaro, and this is about height. I'm not saying he's as good as Fabio Cannavaro because he's one of the best centre-backs I've ever seen. I loved Cannavaro. What a player. Only centre-back Ballon d'Or winner in the last 22 years is Fabio Cannavaro, 5'9". So there's your height issue. And Italy, remember, we are going to play a high-line attacking style of football. Italy, Juventus, Cannavaro, defensive teams on the edge of their box. Crosses coming in. So, Lisandro Martinez is not going to be stood on the edge of his box, parking the bus. He's going to play on the halfway line, progressive attacking centre-back. Cannavaro was 5'9" and played in a defensive national team and mainly club teams as well. Baresi as well. I don't know how tall Baresi was. Ten Hag, Gabriel Heinze was 5'9". He wasn't bad in the air either, Arnie. So maybe there is an Argentinian thing where there's a lot of 5'10", 5'9" defenders who are really good in the air. I do not have time here. United need to win every game, so he wants to play who he buys in from the start to give him the best chance, says the real G. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, look, we could talk and talk and talk. We're live again at 8 o'clock. I'm on FIFA today, so if you're a little bit hot and you just feel like kicking back and watching something that's energetic that doesn't get you sweaty, then you can join me on Twitch in about 20 minutes. I'm going to be live on Twitch. Well, actually half an hour, 10 past 3, isn't it? I'm going to be live on Goldbridge TV on Twitch playing my Manchester United FIFA Career Mode, which I haven't played for a few days, actually. So I'm probably going to be wired in relation to that. How tall is Otamendi? I get the feeling Otamendi's a little bit, probably about 6 foot, but very good in the air, Otamendi. And Otamendi is... How tall are you, Otamendi? 6 foot. There you go. So yeah, he's more that. Baresi was 5'9". Baresi was fantastic as well. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, look, really enjoyed the show, everybody. Please do subscribe, because as you can see in the top right hand corner, we're on 389. Let's hit 390 on the road to 400k. Legends in the chat as always. Good conversation. That's what it's all about. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and I will speak. I'm on the 8 o'clock show. On the 8 o'clock show today. James says it's 30 degrees in Ireland. I've got to be honest. I know it's hot, so be careful. Be safe. But everything I turn on and every conversation I have at the moment is about how hot it is. And to be honest with you, it's weather. You're talking about weather. Speaks in a bit. Thanks for watching.